Good morning. I hereby open this Island Council meeting for today, Thursday, June 18th. I would like to welcome everyone present in the hall, as well as those listening by way of radio and the social media page of Statia Government. I invite us all to please stand in respect of the local anthem, the Golden Rock Song. You may be seated. I move on to agenda point 2, which regards announcements. I will announce immediately that Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner is absent with notice, and I look to the members of the Island Council if there are any announcements on their part. Members of the Island Council, are there any announcements? I will, before we go over to the third agenda point, take note that portfolio holder Resheline Leerdam, regarding the third agenda point, she is on her way, and I want to propose to the Council that we adjourn this meeting briefly for the arrival of the Commissioner so that we can conclude agenda point 3, which is a point that is continuing since the meeting of It's a continuation meeting of a previous Island Council meeting of May 7th. So at this time, I will adjourn this meeting for approximately, I want to say that we can go immediately into the meeting as the Commissioner has arrived. And welcome to you too, Councilman Glenville Schmidt. The setting of the agenda, point 3, agenda 3 regards 1, the opening, 2, announcements, 3, State of Agriculture Department, 4, announcements, Executive Council and Island Governor per Articles 51 and 52 of the Regulation of Order of the Island Council, 5, closing. Members of the Islands Council, can we agree to continue today's meeting with the agenda as is? The agenda is herewith adopted. Agenda point 4 is the State of Agriculture Department. State of the Agriculture Department. For public information, on May 7th, the Island Council held a meeting during which 2 agenda points were added by Councilman Clyde Van Putten. The meeting proceeded with 3 of the 5 council members present. However, before the second agenda point added could be addressed, the quorum was broken. In accordance with Article 21 of the WALBES and Article 20 of the Rules of Order of the Island Council, the meeting could not continue once a quorum was no longer present. However, Article 21, paragraph 3 of the WALBES provides that when a meeting is reconvened to continue discussion of an agenda item that remained unfinished from the original meeting, the normal quorum requirements does not apply to that previously scheduled item. Accordingly, today, the Council will continue the May 7th meeting and discuss the remaining agenda item concerning the state of the Agriculture Department. Considering that the point was raised by you, Councilman Clive Van Putten, I will immediately give you the floor. Councilman Clive Van Putten.
Madam Speaker, members of the Council, those present in the gallery and those following on social media. Speaker, we were here before, as you very well indicated, on the 7th of May. This agenda point was tabled. In many ways, the meeting ended up chaotic. A lot was said out there, and I'm not going to revisit it, but as I have always said, as long as I'm here, as a member of this Island Council, I would use the rights given to me by the people and as laid out in the laws of the land to engage governments on whatever concern is to the public or whatever is happening within the structure of government. Madam Speaker, we know that for quite some time that the Department of Agriculture has been present, but there have been a lot of ups and downs with this department since 2018 when there was a takeover. I now claim responsibility, and I said that before because I heard it said on several times. First it was Charles Woodley, and now I'm connected to being the one responsible for the takeover. But I'm proud of it because we stood up to the powers that be, and we were not wishy-washy leaders and just going along and accepting. But in any event, this department did not go the way it had to be. I know that there was even a point in time when the department or the whole government organization was restructured. We noticed that this particular department was left out. There were something mentioned, but I don't think necessarily that it was what we knew it well before, and even at this point in time. But we know that there were a unit manager after the departure of the previous unit manager to become the interim and then later director in the organization. We know that it was hanging for a while. And not so long ago, we know that the vets, the veterinary officer, I call her the animal doctor, was the one charged with that responsibility along with other responsibilities that she has. And for quite some time, she had been given signal that the two are not working together. And therefore it was necessary to make the change. And obviously, I discussed with them, because as a member of the Island Council, I see things as not doing the right thing, but should I have a right to ask questions? And then the process started for a manager. I know internally that there may have been some intention to appoint others, but in the party house, when it was the party house, I give my very strong objection to some of the intention that those responsible for the appointment had. And the current unit manager was suggested, and then the one responsible to make the proposal to the Executive Council would have had contact with the individual, and then the process continued from there. Madam Speaker, it was said publicly that civil servants are afraid to come to the Island Council. And I laugh because it was during my time in 1999 that civil servants start coming to the Island Council. Heads of departments, yes, heads of department then, because we did not have the structure that we have now with other civil servants when it was necessary to assist commissioners. But I think that when it is convenient, then we tend to switch it to paint the individual, in this case my person, in a very negative light, but I have no problem with that. I am personally disappointed because I didn't expect the type of behavior. And sometimes it may be happening because sometimes civil servants are being used to carry out the hidden agenda of politicians, administrators, legislators, and we can go on and on. But the situation has reached to the point where I believe it has totally broken down. Because even before the individual in question was appointed as a unit manager, we know the government / the commissioner basically ignored the outgoing unit manager, and this individual who was the successor was involved with everything, even before a formal appointment would have taken place. Because the island is small, we know the current unit manager of personnel had even raised questions with regards to the procedure. And then at one point, certain things were stopped. They had to go back until they got it right. But in the meantime, it seems, based on information that I get on a regular basis, that even there at that department, that while it is said that I put pressures on civil servants and criticize civil servants, it seems to be that civil servants are afraid to speak out. Madam Speaker, it is to the point where the relationship between the current unit manager and the former unit manager, who is the veterinary officer at the department, is almost non-existent. Non-existent because, for whatever reason, I guess the individual knows that he has the complete backing of the government, particularly the Commission of Agriculture. And so, where it pertains to matters at the department, there's no form of communication. The communication that is taking place at the department, and not only with the veterinary officer, former unit manager, but also with certain civil servants, in many cases is done via the WhatsApp. And I didn't invent that. That is what I was told by different workers at the Department of Agriculture. It is done via the WhatsApp, and therefore that is not a healthy situation.
This is the introduction to the topic. I think you are going directly into the topic.
Well, let's go to the topic directly.
And I want to, at this time, propose a speaking time. And we have the speaking time per the regulation of order, the newly established regulation of order. It's 10 minutes, first round, second round, 8 minutes. And I will consult the members of the Island Council that we have that as our regulation of order. I see your finger, Mr. Van Putten.
I think, Madam Speaker, you talk about the continuation of the meeting. And in that meeting, it was agreed that it would be 30 minutes in the first round and 15 minutes. And so if we're talking about the continuation, you cannot come at this point in time with a new proposal, because the meeting is a continuation and we had an agreement on it already.
Councilman Derek Simmons.
Point of order. If we continue that meeting, I believe the individual had spoken for 30 minutes. So you know, it's kind of complicate things when you go down a road like that. So you know, I wouldn't go down that road.
Well, Madam Speaker, I think that the council member maybe either he was sleeping he's suffering from amnesia because when this particular point, when we started this particular point, it was when this particular point started up, it was mentioned that a motion would have been presented. And then when he asked to talk about the motion, we went in internal discussions and we know how it went. So there was no barat slacking as far as this particular point is concerned. But I could understand that they are trying to silence me and so forth. But again, I'm saying that if I can't speak in the people's house, I will speak via the media because we did not go in any discussion and the Khalifi should be able to verify and clarify what I'm saying.
Considering that there is a discrepancy, I will at this time propose that we adjourn the meeting. And what we will do is we will have a relook at the May 7th meeting when this agenda point was raised. I do recall that you spoke, Mr. Van Putten, and because the motion was not presented during the first round, the motion would have gone over in the topic, in the motion that Mr. Councilman Glenville Schmidt would have. But for transparency and fairness in this dialogue at this time, I propose we pause for about 15 minutes. We will have a relook at the tape and then we will consider what are the real facts and then we can go from there. That is my proposal. So, folks, we will interrupt this meeting temporarily. It is now 9:53 and we will be back here in 15 minutes, which will bring us to 8 minutes past 10 a.m. I herewith resume this meeting of the Island Council of St. Eustatius for today, June 18th. The agenda point we are addressing is a continuation of an agenda point on the agenda of the Council's meeting on May 7th. We took a pause, a break, based on a request from Councilman Derek Simmons, who is of the opinion that the councilman had spoken already in the first meeting, and considering it is a continuation, he had already used the time allotted to speak. Consulting the video of the May 7th meeting, it is concluded that the topic started at 2 hours and 58 minutes, and the first speaking round regarded agenda point 8 at the time, state of affairs of the LVV Agriculture Department. It was established 30 minutes, first round, second round, 15 minutes. At 3:07, the first round, the first speaker, presenter of the topic, had spoken, and at 3:08, the word was given to Councilman Glenville Schmidt. And at the moment that Councilman Glenville Smith was about to address the meeting, Councilman Simmons requested that he had no insight into motions. Motions were being presented. He will be required to vote on a motion for which he had not seen. And so the meeting took a break at 3:09, and it was to be for 10 minutes. When the meeting concluded at 3:24, Councilman Simmons requested to address the meeting. He stated something to the length of there are two motions being proposed. He can find himself in one motion and the other he could not. And at that moment, he stated he could no longer participate in the meeting, which resulted in the quorum. Quorum in the Island Council is 3 of 5, which constitutes a majority, and at a time, as chair, the meeting had to be closed in accordance to the articles of the WALBES and the regulations of order of the Island Council. We are continuing the meeting, and the next speaker, based on the last agenda point, was Councilman Glenville Smith. The third speaker, Councilman Derek Simmons. Fourth speaker, based on the registration today, is Council Lady Raquel Spanner Carty, and the fifth speaker, Council Lady Mercedes Loeb Spanner. So we are still in round 1, and 30 in the first, 15 in the second round. And so at this time, I will give you the floor, Councilman Glenville Schmidt.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to everyone. So I understand this is my first round presentation on this agenda point. Well, Madam Chair, I'm a little, by the event, of this morning already. I mean, in the past, I think I spoke about this already when we have discussions here in the council, that we often have to interrupt, to find out the proper direction that we should go. In every society, I guess, and surely in a democracy, I guess citizens are expected to know the laws, notwithstanding the fact that we have so many laws, and we have special laws that govern our organization, our island council, our procedures, our rules of order, etc. And yet, we keep falling back into this situation over and over again. I'm not accusing anyone of wrongdoing or whatever the case may be, but I hope that we can find some way to deal with this in the future, that we don't have to be going through this each and every time. I know in some jurisdictions, they have a legal person in the meeting that can give advice and direction at each time. In our system right now, we don't have that. But we need to find some solution that we don't have to be arguing with each other behind the scenes, as to what is the proper procedure when we have these discussions or questions in our meeting. So I hope that you, Madam Chair, will try and further investigate these matters, and that we can jointly, as a council, find some modus of how we can proceed to have our meetings in a more respectable way and also legally sound way. That being said, Madam Chair, on the agenda point that is relevant right now, I don't have anything else to add on the agenda point at this time. I did state in the original meeting on May 7th that I had a motion to present it based on the legal advice that we're getting this morning that, I can present motions, but I still can't vote on them. And that, for me, makes absolutely no sense at this point. And so I will, at this present moment, just state again, I have nothing further to add on this agenda point, and I will conclude my round here right now. Thank you.
Councilman Schmidt. Councilman Derek Simmons, you may address the meeting.
Thank you. First, let me apologize for the disruption. It's just I was stating facts and was accused of all kind of things in memory, etc., etc. But to me, that's not how the way meeting's supposed to go. And I have come into this function, been commissioner several times, and my patience has wear thin. Most of the time you see me sit back and I observe, but then it comes a point in time when you need to start becoming serious. And I think one of the major problem, and also based on the agenda point, the LVV, is the problem is we don't work together. That is the problem. People do not work together, and you have different way of working, and then you cause friction. As commissioner, I tried to come with a workable solution, but I felt it wasn't working. I had my time, and I move on. I don't have to tear down the whole house because of things weren't done my way. It was not meant to be. And so we tend to come here, and yes, it's very disruptive, and that's where I apologize for, those breaks, because sometimes you have to sit and wait. Should I say something? Because basically it's just going, another half an hour just going to go. And I believe we are just here. Well, I feel my time is being wasted when things like that is happening, but I came to a certain point where basically I fed up with not being professional with doing things. And people do not, sometimes you say things, they don't take it serious, they probably take it as a joke, but I tell people I don't joke. So although you take it as a joke, I am very serious when I say things. And I like procedures, I like structures, and I believe it will help us. And I hope one day, we get there. When I look at it, I keep saying we're not there yet. And we're supposed to get there. I must mention, for example, when you look at how meetings are conducted in the Netherlands, you see also a chair which is part of the meeting, But when the meeting, the chair is speaking, the position is handed over to someone else. So the chair don't speak in the meeting where they're chairing. And I find that, that basically keeps everybody in check so that you're not speaking and chairing at the same time. But those are little things. I hope that one day, we get there and become, more professional. And I think by doing that, we will be more efficient in the use of time. Concerning the LVV situation, I have noticed from my area, I've seen less animals. I don't know what is happening, but I think people are experiencing less disruption based on animals. And often persons get tangled up in the details and how it's done, and it is what it is. That is politics. Next year we have an election coming up. I hear people running, preparing, ready to go on the radio and bash. I don't get involved in that. Through the years, people call me all kind of names, and I just do not respond. And if person thinks that something like that will make the situation better, go right ahead. Because I feel if you think that that will improve the situation, you have my vote. But if you're just doing it and then stirring up issues, to me, you're just wasting time. And I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Derek Simmons. Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty, you may speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I yield my time.
Thank you, Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty. Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner.
Good morning to the Council, Madam Chair, the general public. I yield my time.
Thank you, Council Lady Mercedes Lopes Spanner. We now enter into round two, and the first speaker is Councilman Clyde Van Putten. We have agreed on round two to be 15 minutes. You may address. A moment, Councilman. I give the commissioners, because based on round one, I give the commissioner the floor.
Madam Chair, just a point of order. I was wondering if I have to answer at least some of the questions that what is the procedure?
You may speak.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I'm in compliance. Good morning, everyone, and to the public listening, and also to the Honorable Council members. Based on some of the questions that was posed, I believe last time when this was handled as well, I brought an extensive 6 months update of where we are and what we are doing, how the department has been restructured, because indeed it was structured in a way where we're not able to get the results that we were trying to achieve in terms of food security. So when we did an assessment, there was an assessment done, I think by EDVO, talking about how we can achieve food security. And one of the aspects was about restructuring the LVV department, and that's why we now have the unit manager, and then we also added extension officers and a business operation person, and that was shown on the screen last time. In terms of internal conflict, I mean, every department in government have internal conflict here and there. You have to work with each other. That is a normal, everyday, ongoing thing. The issues that brought forward here in the council floor, it is new to me because I meet with them bi-weekly to discuss all the different topics about what we're doing within the roaming animal project and also within the SAPSA. How do we, ensure that we are obtaining the goals that we are trying to achieve for food security on the island. And like I said, I do not recognize none of those statements that is being brought here. like I said again, there's a procedure within the WALBES. If there's feelings of wrongdoing or procedures not being followed, Article 160 can be invoked, whereby you can induce a inquiry into the whole situation, and then the facts will become light. But like I'm saying, currently I do not see those opinions because they're not facts. I don't see any factual information coming forward that I have to say that I have to look at it and say, well, we have to investigate the matter or whatever it is. So I just wanted to bring it very clear that the team came a long way in terms of not only LVV but the roaming animals involving the NEP. Together we are building a stronger government whereby we're ensuring that all departments work together, because we realize that one department may have one thing, but there's also a next department that is very instrumental. So we're bringing all departments together, sitting on a table and helping everybody understand that we are not an island. And for us to be able to produce results, we have to work with each other. So I think we're coming a long way with there. We're seeing a lot of positive results because you're seeing things moving on the island. And it's not the work of the commissioner, it's the work of the engine behind of that, which is the civil servants who's ensuring that we get a goed kleurende accountant. We're seeing that we're getting projects moving. We're seeing that a lot of different things within the social domain is happening. And that is the engine behind of the progress. So I would like to leave it there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Leerdam. We now move to round 2. Speaking time is 15 minutes. Councilman Clyde Van Putten, you may address the meeting.
Madam Speaker, in the second round, I could say a lot of things, but I'm not going to do it. Two things I would say. No weapon formed against me will prevail. And time is longer than twine. Time is longer than twine. The public is listening, and I know when the time is right, the public will act accordingly. With that, I rest my case.
Thank you, Councilman Clyde Van Putten. Round 2, Councilman Derek Simmons, 15 minutes speaking time. Councilman Glenville Schmidt, you may address the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield my time.
Thank you, Councilman Schmidt. Councilman Derek Simmons, you may address the floor, 15 minutes speaking time.
Yeah, thank you. I only have one comment. There is a scripture that I tend to be quoting all the time, Matthew 10, verse 14. Persons should look up that and see what it means. It have to do with wiping your feet and leaving when people don't listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Derek Simmons. Council Lady Raquel Spanner-Carty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Council Lady. Council
Thank you,
Lady
Madam Chair.
Mercedes Lopes-Spanner, you may wait, and I need to introduce you. You may now speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm racing for what I don't know, but I yield my time as well.
Thank you very much, Council Lady Mercedes Lopes-Spanner. Commissioners, there were no questions. Do you feel the need to add anything in light of the topic before us? I want to, on that note, conclude the agenda point that is before us, which is agenda point 3, State of the Agriculture Department, which is agenda point 4. And we move swiftly to agenda point 5, which are the announcements of the Executive Council and the Island Governor. I will first give the commissioners the opportunity for announcements. Commissioner Leerdam, followed by Commissioner Ruben Merkman for announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to announce to the public that we're seeing some movement on the request that was made for the harbor. We see now to make it to the second chamber, and there will be a motion was already adopted, and hopefully it's going to be passed. And because of that, I would like to thank all those who was very much involved in this pivotal part of our history to ensure security for our livelihood for the island. I want to thank the Commissioner Merkman for dealing with this topic in my absence. Also, I thank the PPMO team, Martin and Casper, those who also assisted alongside Angelica and Nina, was very, very much instrumental as well, ensuring that this get to the heirs who needs to hear it. I would like to thank the Prime Minister as well, because he took our concerns very much seriously and ensured that this information was distributed. And I would like to thank the ministry. They're working very hard as well, and for those within RVS and DGM. Thank you so much for keeping this agenda hot, and also taking our plight as your plight to ensure the safety of the community of St. Eustatius and the people. And last but definitely not least, I would really like to thank the Island Council, because again, it shows that togetherness brings results, and without your input, we would not have reached this far as well, because again, the level of the Parliament is not our speaking partner, so we cannot speak to them. And what you did and involve in the motion, the letter, I want to thank all those who supported it, because you can see now your fruits is in very much, hopefully comes bearing for the island of St. Eustatius in our desperate time of need. And with that, I would like to end by saying it's always good to add divine intervention. So I will ask everyone to pray that this motion is adopted, and we can really get the resources that we need for the harbor development. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Leerdam. As Chair of the Island Council, I do not have any specific points to add, but I take note of our meeting and the interventions that we've had, and we will have to do some additional work to improve our functioning as a council. I want to give Commissioner Ruben Merkman the floor in the announcements.
Chair. Also on my behalf, I would like to participate something with the Island Council. I think the Island Council has been fighting in this area for quite some time. I can remember when I was in the council that was one of the main topics that we would deal with, and I know this council also has been dealing with this topic. Every time they go to Holland, they have been requesting audiences with the committee for I think it's health. And last week Thursday, I was in Bonnier, and I had a meeting with VVS, the representatives from VVS, and I think from what the information that was sent to me, what we discussed, the cries of Statia and Sabre is reaching the areas where it needs to go. I think the committee from Goed Gedrag also did a lot of good work to bring over a lot what the Island Council has been bringing over for years. It's not a fight of now, it's a fight of years. I know Council Lady Spanner has been vital in that in these couple of days. Then these last couple of years when she's going to Holland, I can remember myself and I think it was, if I don't mistaken, it was Councilman Van Putten, where a statement was made that people in Statia are dying. And when that statement was made, the people around the table, they were shocked. But it is a fact. It is a fact. And I think from what I'm seeing, I don't want to divulge too much, but I would like to have a meeting with the Island Council where I can share that information to you as to the results of the meeting. But I think it bodes well for the population of Statia, because what we have been saying for years, that St. Martin is not meeting our needs. I've been very reluctant in really cooperating in that area with the people that the main stakeholder has been always been reluctant to admit that that is the case, but it is a fact. All persons that have investigated our situation came back with the same result. We are not getting what we're supposed to get when it comes to healthcare. And I had discussions with persons, medical personnel, high qualified medical personnel on Bonilla, and they are saying the same thing. You know, I think they are better. There are better means of dealing with our situation, and we have the opportunity now to galvanize what is being proposed. So I look forward to having a sit down with the Island Council as quickly as possible, and then we can have a closed door session on that. In the future also, I'm looking to have a town hall meeting about it, where the people of Statia can ask questions, and a medical professional from Bonilla has already committed himself to come and provide information on that. So I look forward to that. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I missed the complaint committee and the hospital, local hospital, auxiliary home. All of those have also been instrumental in this process to get the information out that what we are undergoing should not be. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ruben Merkman. It is indeed so that the one policy area where, as an island, the voices have united around is the issue regarding quality healthcare, and hopefully with this study that the message is clear that it's time to move forward, and we can no longer have our people with a great insurance package but yet not reaching the needs of our people. So thank you for that, Commissioner. We move to agenda point 6, which is the closing. We are at the end of this meeting, and I want to thank the Council for being here. I want us all to please stand in respect of the local anthem, the Golden Rock Song. The meeting is herewith adjourned.